Hurricane Delta emerges in the Gulf after a landfall event in Mexico. Next up, targeting the northern Gulf Coast. Still several days away from a landfall here in the United States, but Delta expected to strengthen here in the hours ahead. Hey there, everybody. JB Buno here with you live in your hurricane headquarters with you here on Tracking the Tropics, being joined by WFLA meteorologist Julie Phillips above me in the bottom left. So great to have WKRN chief meteorologist Danielle Breezy joining us from Nashville, Tennessee. Going to be hearing from her in just a moment. But we begin with meteorologist Amanda Holly standing by at the wall. As a reminder, you can use the hashtags on our screen here. Hashtag Hey Julie, hashtag Hey JB, hashtag Hey Danielle, and hashtag Hey Amanda to ask a question to our team. Hey there, Amanda.
Hey there, JB. Thanks for joining us here on Tracking the Tropics. We've got the latest on Hurricane Delta. Just came in the 2 o'clock advisory. We are getting those intermediate advisories because we have watches now in effect for the central Gulf Coast. Now, the maximum sustained winds have come down a little bit. It is being affected by the Yucatan Peninsula. It did make landfall earlier this morning south of Cancun, north of Cozumel there, but it is now that center re-emerging into the Gulf of Mexico, still moving very fast northwest at 17 miles per hour. It is expected to slow down, and as it does so, it's expected to strengthen because it is going to sit over those warm Gulf waters here. So we are expecting it to regain that major Category 3 strength. Could potentially become a 4. Can't rule that out. I know a lot of people probably asking that. We were earlier forecasting it for it to become a 4, but the latest models have kept it below that strength just this early this afternoon here. Now, it is expected to weaken slightly before it makes landfall along the central Gulf Coast, and that's because it's going to be interacting with some wind shear in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And as the storm, the center of the storm gets closer to landfall here, those Gulf water temperatures are not as warm as they are in the center of the Gulf of Mexico. But regardless, location here, unfortunately, Louisiana looks to be in the path of this storm once again. Of course, it was affected by Laura not that long ago as a major Category 4 storm. And this storm, the forecast models are in very good agreement with just ever so slight shifts back to the east and back to the west with every run here. So we'll be watching this, but then you can see it is expected to continue to recurve out into Tennessee, and it's going to bring some moisture up there. This storm is going to be moving pretty fast, though, so that's one thing that we are going to watch as we head toward Friday. That's when it is expected to make landfall. So it's expected to slow down, grow in size, and those wind speeds are expected to strengthen as it gets into the center portion of the Gulf of Mexico. As it makes its way toward land, it's going to speed up, and it might weaken as well. So a lot of different factors going on here, but you can see those warm Gulf waters in the center of the Gulf of Mexico. But as it approaches land, those Gulf water temperatures really come down. So that's going to help to weaken that storm just a little bit, potentially right before it makes landfall, which of course would be good news for the coastline of Louisiana. But we're still going to be talking about significant storm surge impacts, wind impacts, the possibility for those isolated tornadoes as well. Plenty of moisture to work with on the tropical water vapor. You can see there's not a whole lot of dry air in the direction that it's headed. There is some dry air off to the east here. There's some dry air off to the northwest, but in its path, not a whole lot of dry air. So we're expecting those tropical storm force winds to start as early as Friday morning here along the northern Gulf Coast. There is a high probability that a lot of these areas will at least see those 40-mile-an-hour winds or greater. Of course, that's tropical storm force winds. And then again, we're expecting that surge as well because you can see the winds wrapping around here, and as it approaches land, it's going to, again, those winds are going to push all of that water up along the coast. So JB, Julie, Danielle, I know that this is another storm that's going to be impacting the Gulf Coast. Unfortunately, this is an area that was already impacted by Hurricane Laura not that long ago, and they are in for another strong storm with all the major impacts that we've already seen there.
Meteorologist Amanda Holly with the very latest on Hurricane Delta, again making landfall in Mexico ahead of a U.S. landfall here in the days ahead, being joined here by meteorologists Julie Phillips and Danielle Breezy joining us from WKRN there in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to be hearing from Danielle here in a second. As a reminder, use the hashtags that we have here on your screen. Hashtag Hey Amanda, hashtag Hey Julie, hashtag Hey Danielle, and hashtag Hey JB. We're going to try to take some questions here, even though we're not going to have too much longer here to stream on this edition of Tracking the Tropics. We'll try to take some questions here, but I want to bring in Danielle here really quickly just to talk a little bit about how Tennessee is preparing for some of the impacts perhaps after this storm makes landfall here on the northern Gulf Coast. Hey there, Danielle.
Hey there, JB. Yeah, we are concerned here in Middle Tennessee, especially with the latest track that just came out, because if you noticed it, and Amanda showed it, you can actually see that path, it continues to hold its tropical storm strength as it moves into the interior. That's not necessarily good news for us in Middle Tennessee. What that spells for us is severe storms, and we're talking about those quick spin-up tornadoes. I'll take you back to when we had Laura come over us in August. This was a tropical depression, so it was much weaker when it reached us, and it did spawn 2 tornadoes and numerous tornado warnings that Friday afternoon. They were weak, but still something to pay attention to. The other thing with this storm, it's going to come directly over our area, so we are concerned with rainfall. We are going to look for 1 to 4 inches of rain. I think the highest totals right now, the way the path is shaped up, is actually going to be in the western side of our area. So we're talking about West Tennessee, Western Kentucky, whereas the eastern side has to be concerned with the potential for those severe storms and those tornadoes. Now, just want to let you guys know, too, we talked to some viewers that were actually in Cancun. They were in Cozumel. I got pictures from them. They were hiding out in storm shelters. One of them was in Cozumel in their hotel, and it actually became a safety shelter. They put all the beds inside in the interior walls, and they rode out the storm, and they were okay, but they said it was very, very windy, very loud. And they had a lot of trees down. Another viewer showing me pictures. So this is a strong storm, and now it's going to really push into the Gulf of Mexico, go over very warm water. Not good news, because that will allow it to intensify. It's also bigger than it was before, so that's not good news. It's going to impact a lot more area. But we are concerned on Saturday. The other thing to talk about, and we're going to be doing this tomorrow with our Southeastern stream, our SEC stream, we are going to be talking about football games on Saturday. Got a lot of college football in the path of this, and one in particular in Nashville, we've got Vandy at home. So I definitely think they're going to be rained out. There also could be severe storms with it, so we'll have to watch it carefully. Of course, it's still several days out. A lot can change. We've also got a big dome of high pressure over our area, so we do have a lot of dry air, so that may make the tornado levels go down here. But still, whenever we have a tropical system that holds together, heading our way, it doesn't spell good news here for Middle Tennessee. We're going to be watching it carefully for it.
As if the college football season needed something to go wrong, right, Danielle? Something else to go wrong here in the year 2020. We're going to start to take your questions now, everybody here on social media. Brooke Nicole, hashtag HeyJB. Is this going to hit anywhere near Panama City, or should people not go to Panama City? We're talking here now about a track, Julie, that has shifted a bit to the west over the last 36 hours. So the first question here coming in for the Florida Panhandle.
Okay, JB, I know the folks in the Panhandle are a little on edge after Sally and that little bit more of an easterly shift to that track, but this storm is different. It is moving much quicker, and our models are really in consensus on where this is going. When you look at those spaghetti model tracks, really for the last 48 hours, they've really been narrowing in on central Louisiana. So we have a high level of certainty with the track of this system as we head through the next couple of days before that landfall occurs Friday. So right now, I think the system should be well west of Panama City. Of course, continue to watch it, but at this point, I wouldn't be overly concerned. All of Florida will have a little bit of more in terms of wet weather as we head toward the weekend, but in terms of anything in regards to direct impacts from this system, it should stay well off to your west.
Next question is from Rihanna Rain, hashtag Hey Amanda. What is causing that curve it's expected to make? Any chance it turns sooner?
It's a great question, Rihanna. I know a lot of people probably on edge. This is a similar scenario to what we had in Wilma back in 2005. It made landfall. Similar location, but there was a big trough with Wilma that curved it much faster, and you're right. Right now, there's an area of high pressure that is kind of situated in the western Atlantic, and that's basically what's rounding the edge at this point. But there's going to be another system here that drops into the plains, and that's what's going to help to recurve it right where it is right now. And models, like Julie just said, very good agreement at this point, and we've seen model run after model run of this consistency. So that just increases our confidence that this is an area that really needs to watch out, because we have pretty good consensus and we have high confidence that this is where Delta is going to go. The chances of it recurving a little sooner at this point, very, very low. So that is the official track from the National Hurricane Center. Here it is. This, again, kind of recurving back in the Gulf of Mexico, and not until it makes its way into the northern Gulf Coast are we going to see that turn toward the north and east. So Florida, like Julie just said, pretty much in the clear with this one. Like she said, also some wet weather this weekend, but otherwise we're not going to see any direct impacts from this one.
And you see, of course, Tennessee there where Danielle is. I mean, right there at the center of the track right now. Of course, not nearly as strong and will be probably post-tropical at that point, but interesting to note. Nonetheless, I'd like to thank Danielle Breezy for joining us here on Tracking the Tropics, as well as our meteorologists here on the top of your screen, meteorologist Amanda Holly and meteorologist Julie Phillips. This is a bit of an abbreviated edition of Tracking the Tropics here. We got to get going, folks, but we're going to be back tomorrow with several episodes here of Tracking the Tropics as we continue to track Hurricane Delta tracking a little bit closer to the northern Gulf Coast. For Danielle, Amanda, and Julie, I'm JB. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you next time on Tracking the Tropics.
Thank you for watching.